son's nursery right now, and I just gave birth to him in France 2 weeks ago. And as a Singaporean that has lived in France for the past 3 years, I would like to share my experience of giving birth here in France, specifically on Reunion Island, and also why I chose to give birth here instead of going back to Singapore. So when I first found out I was pregnant, we were just moving to Reunion Island. Actually, I did my pregnancy test like 2 days before our flight. Obviously, I had many thoughts in my mind and I did consider going back to Singapore. The main reason why I didn't choose to do that is mainly because where we are situated here in Reunion Island, that would have been at least 14 hours with one layover in Bangkok. And here in Reunion Island, both me and my husband do not have any family, so it's just the two of us here. And going back to Singapore would have been quite helpful because I would have family support, and you know the culture in Singapore where there are like postpartum mothers and also confinement nannies. But the downside to that is that I would probably deprive my husband missing out on a lot of the newborns growing up phase, because he would have to go back to work even though he has paternity leave of 28 days. But that's not enough, and I also am not comfortable with flying with a newborn. Yeah, so that's one of the main reasons why I didn't want to go back to Singapore. Second reason is also the cost. So I think, as many Singaporeans know, giving a kid and giving birth in Singapore is not very cheap, even if we go to the public route. And versus here in France, where with the welfare system, with the healthcare system here, the government 80% of my costs. So far I haven't even paid much. I haven't received my hospital bill yet, so I can't really say for sure. But ever since I hit my 6-month pregnancy, everything is then covered by the healthcare, or what they call the Sécu here in France. So my hospital stay is 100% covered. Even though I extended my stay, it's covered for a maximum of 12 days and I stayed 8 days. So I didn't have much worry about in terms of finances, especially since I'm unemployed. So that was a big plus. To give birth in France, and also dealing with French administration would have been much easier if we were in France. And I've also heard from like French friends or French people that I've spoken to giving birth, having their kids here in France, that like, the care is not so like you don't have follow-ups every month, or you don't have your ultrasounds usually it's one per trimester. So I felt a bit like not well taken care of if I were to France. But actually, maybe it's my first kid, or maybe it's because I went through a private clinic. I actually had scans every month, and I even had a gynecologist and a midwife to do my labs and my checkup. So I actually felt super taken care of, so I didn't worry about. And in Singapore, it's quite common to have scans every month. I do know of some friends that only like once every trimester. If your pregnancy, especially if there isn't complications with your pregnancy. And fun fact, your pregnancy is quite smooth. You can actually just go to a midwife to do your checkups. You have to specifically go to so language. My French isn't that great, and it isn't like super to the extent of my pain and stuff, medical terms. About the language barrier, I doubt that there would be many doctors that will be able to speak English, or find one that will be near my. So the language was slightly concerning for me to have my kid here in France. On the other hand, like, I guess it would be quite helpful since my husband is French, and if he were there with me throughout all my. But I just want to say that in the end I managed to do it myself. There wasn't much difficulties. Even with my B1 to B2 level of French, it was quite okay. And yeah, I think in terms of medical terms, most of it are quite similar. So if you can explain to them like what, for example, cesarean, most of it similar in French. So one other big thing is also postpartum care. So you know, we have like postpartum centers, a lot of family support, and literally after giving birth as a woman, you don't have to do, even helping you to cook. And I think I was very worried because everyone was telling me, oh, you need to prepare this, like you have to cook and everything. And the culture here in a Western country is so different, exists. So, and also we don't have any family, it's literally the two of us. And after my husband's paternity leave, it will be just myself. Like, how would I even be able to manage work and taking care of a baby? So on this point, I was leaning more towards giving birth in Singapore for family support. But since all these confinement stuff that exist here in France, and thinking of like my French friends that had to give birth away from home, from like their home city as well, and they were all able to do it. So we were like, if they can do it, why can't we? And yeah, so and previously I mentioned that I didn't want to deprive my husband of taking care of his newborn. So it would be a challenge that we would take on together as new parents. And as I said, I'm quite competitive, so if other people can do it, I can do it too. So far it has been quite okay. In case of any complications during my pregnancy, or that I had to wait like hours just to see a gynae. Just now I was saying that I was very sick, and then there was no doctor that wanted to see me, and I was so afraid that like this would happen to me, and I didn't want to have such experience for my first pregnancy, so I was a bit hesitant and I was a bit afraid. I was afraid to not be treated as priority as a pregnant woman. And here in France, due to my first medical experience, everything went very smoothly. I was very happy with my checkups, my doctors, my first day as well. Like compared to France in Metropole, France, where it sucks, and like hospital stay, giving birth in France there is not the best. But it's the opposite here in Ireland, which is very close to like Asian food. Usually you get like rice, almost at least once a day, and your food is served warm, sometimes hot. You always have one veggie and one meat. So in Singapore it's kind of like Cai Fan, and I really ate quite well there, and I was very happy. And the private hospital that I gave birth at, they actually have double beds. So when my husband stayed with me, he was able to have a comfortable bed to sleep on, instead of lying on the chair or sleeping on the floor. So that was a great plus. And yeah, we chose this hospital because many people that we know on the island gave birth there and had very good reviews, and the feedback was good. Everyone said that the food was good. So I made a Chinese friend here on the island, and she gave birth to her son there last year, and she told me the food is amazing as long as I chose the Creole option. Yeah, the journey that is giving me. So if I were to give birth to my second, I hope that I can do it here in the same hospital, because I do not want my last birth experience to be shitty in France. Yeah, so I hope you've learned something new, and if you are a Singaporean living in France and is currently pregnant, considering to give birth in France, I hope this video helps. Or if you're watching here, not pregnant, not living in France, now you know. And if you're ever thinking of giving birth abroad outside of Singapore, especially in Europe, let me know your experience in the comments below. See you in the next video. Bye! Ooh! You eat my hair, yucks! I won't be able to finish this video.